So we know the identity of the inmate who assaulted Derek Chauvin in the federal penitentiary. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you an update on the assault of Derek Chauvin in an Arizona federal penitentiary. Now, we all know who Derek Chauvin is. He was convicted in the death of George Floyd going back to 2020. He's a former Minneapolis police officer, and he was serving his time in an Arizona federal penitentiary. Now, what I read is that he requested to get transferred to a low-level facility, which is where I think he was at the time of the attack. Now, when you go to a low-level penitentiary, you're going to have a lot of guys that may have snitched on people, could have been federal informants, maybe some ex-offenders, guys like that could be in there at a very high level for their own protection. Now, the guy who attacked Derek Chauvin at one point was a federal informant, and he was part of La M, which is called the Mexican Mafia. His name is John Tersack, 52 years old, and he's listed as a white male. There's a picture that people say is John Tersack floating around the internet, but I've not been able to confirm it. The picture is a regular white guy, but I've also read that John Tersack's mother's maiden name is Martinez. So I don't know exactly how the guy looks. All that I do know is that his name is John Tersack, 52 years old, and he is listed as a white male. And there's more we got to get into. Here's an article right here from New York Times. You see it. Inmate stabbed Derek Chauvin 22 times. That's a big part of the update right there. He got hit 22 times with an improvised knife, a prison knife. So when you heard that he was assaulted, some may have thought that it was, he just got beat up. Maybe he got hit one time. Nah, he got assaulted 22 times, and the guy had been planning it for about a month. And he said that he did it in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, and for the I think it was a black fist tattoo he has on him, which is part of La M, Mexican Mafia. He was in La M back in the early 1990s, and he wound up snitching on some guys in 1999. Then he went to prison for some crimes he committed while being a federal informant. You see, he snitched while he was a federal informant, but he committed some crimes while working for the feds, and they didn't give him any kind of leniency, so they sent him to prison. He was going to come home, though. He got convicted, I believe, in 2001. He was going to come home in, I think, 2 or 3 years. I read that his release date was 2026. But now that he didn't hit Derek Chauvin 22 times with a knife, he probably won't come home anymore, because now he has an outside charge of attempted murder. So I think that he's pretty much toast. I don't know why he would do a thing like that when he's going to get out of prison anyway. But let's get through the article to see if we can glean any new information. You see the subhead, John Tersack, 52, has been charged with attempting to murder Mr. Chauvin, former Minneapolis police officer who is serving more than 2 decades in prison for the murder of George Floyd. And let's get into it. So the inmate, John Tersack, who's accused of stabbing Mr. Chauvin with an improvised knife on November the 24th, told investigators that he had been thinking about attacking Mr. Chauvin for about a month because Mr. Chauvin, who served more than 20 years in prison for murdering George Floyd, is a high-profile inmate. Mr. Chauvin survived the attack, of course. According to a criminal complaint, Mr. Tersack attacked Mr. Chauvin inside the law library at the Federal Correctional Institution, a medium security prison in Tucson. I thought it was a low, but it's a medium. Officers responded immediately and used pepper spray to subdue Mr. Tersack, court documents state. Mr. Tersack told officers that he would have killed Mr. Chauvin had they not responded so quickly. Okay, so I'm reading different things. I read that Tersack didn't necessarily want to delete him, but he was just trying to assault him because he was a high-profile inmate and he was doing it in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, things of this nature. Let's continue. In an interview 2 days later with FBI agents, the inmate denied wanting to delete Mr. Chauvin, but revealed that he had been planning the assault for about a month. Mr. Tersack said the date of the stabbing, the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, was symbolic with the Black Lives Matter movement and the black can symbol associated with the Mexican Mafia criminal organization, according to charging documents. In addition to the attempted murder charge, Mr. Tersack was charged with assault with intent to commit murder, assault with a dangerous weapon, and assault resulting in serious bodily injury. The court docket did not list a lawyer for Mr. Tersack. A previous criminal case involving Mr. Tersack was listed as sealed in the federal court database, although records from the Bureau of Prison listed 2026 as a release date. So again, he was going to come home pretty soon, but he did this. So all that, those plans of release are now going to be scrapped. In 2001, a man with the same name as Mr. Tersack was sentenced in Los Angeles federal court to 30 years in prison. The man was a former Mexican Mafia member and had been convicted of crimes he committed while he was an FBI informant. In the stabbing of Mr. Chauvin, the charges related to attempted murder each carry maximum sentences of 20 years in prison, while the assault charges have a maximum of 10 years, prosecutors said. All right, so how many charges does he have related to attempted murder? He got hit 22 times. Does each stabbing count as one charge? How does that really work? You guys who are legals, y'all please let me know in the comments below. So they're talking about George Floyd and the whole situation that happened right there. There is obviously Derek Chauvin. And again, I've seen a picture that the internet claims is the inmate who stabbed him, but I can't confirm that to be true or false. So I can't come on the internet and say, oh, that's him. It could be some random poor guy, and it might not be him. But again, the guy, John Tersack, 52 years old, former FBI informant, was part of Latin Mexican Mafia, and he was doing a 30-year bid. He got sentenced in 2001, and he was going to come home in 2026. So he was going to do 25 of the 30. All right. And Chauvin is in prison, serving 22 and a half years for the murder charge and a concurrent sentence of just 20 years for the civil rights violation. So he'll serve it at the same time rather than consecutively. It won't be the 22 and then 20 afterwards. It'll be concurrent, so at the same time. And that's what's going on with that. Again, that's the update. Derek Chauvin got hit 22 times in the federal penitentiary. The guy had been planning it for a long time, and he was a federal informant who was part of the Mexican Mafia. Now, some are going to say, well, you know what? The fact that this guy was a federal informant, that's pretty fishy. Maybe he was sent to do that to Derek Chauvin. I'm not quite sure that it's fishy that a federal informant is in a federal penitentiary, because when you go to a lot of these lower level places, or maybe, I'm not sure how it works over in that particular institution, but I've heard from guys that I know who have been to prison, it would be like a sensitive needs place for guys that high profile, need protection, like protective custody, PC. It'd be guys that have sex offender charges. It'd be guys that have snitched, FBI informants. They'll all kind of be in one location. So this could have been that. It could have been a bunch of guys all around Derek Chauvin that snitched, or they call them moles, guys that, you know, got crimes involving children, things of that nature. They could have all been right there in that same place. Again, I don't know, because I've not been to this prison. I've not been to prison or jail at all ever in my life. All I can do is just go off of what I think from what I've read and from other places and kind of how things work. But if you guys have been here, if you guys work here or worked here before or in a prison like this, let me know in the comments what you think could have put Derek Chauvin next to a guy like this. But as I close, I want to say this. The guy who did this, I don't think was set up by the federales. I think he just happened to be there. I mean, at the end of the day, you're in prison. These guys are dangerous. The guy that did this to Derek Chauvin had murder cases he picked up while being a federal informant. So while he knew the feds were watching him, he was still deleting people. Okay? And he went to prison as a result of that. So he's taking lives, and he's part of the Mexican Mafia, and he's a white guy, allegedly, on top of that. When I say allegedly, just because he's listed as white does not mean that he is white like Derek Chauvin. He could be white like mestizo, meaning you're mixed. You could be 70% white, 30% Native American. You look like Chicano, but you are listed as white, if that makes any sense. So I think that's what happened. He just happened to be the wrong place at the wrong time. This guy, recognize him, high profile inmate, you're in prison, things can happen. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on this whole thing with Derek Chauvin? Do you think that it was a setup from the federales? Do you think it was just wrong place, wrong time, meaning prison, and this kind of thing can happen to you? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think it just happened to be in prison, and this can happen. You're in a dangerous environment. I mean, look, you were a cop, and you got a civil rights case. You're a high-profile, famous person, and you got some people that don't really care about their life, that don't really mind taking somebody's life. The guy that hit him up 22 times had already deleted people, at least one person, probably more, by being part of the gang. He deleted somebody while he was under the watchful eye of the FBI. So if he did that in that circumstance, then why wouldn't he do it just because? Just, hey, I see you right here. I'm going to go ahead and just do it for Black Lives Matter, Black Friday. And then you got guys in the penitentiary that are kind of crazy, losing their mind. So this might have made sense to him. Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.